Hi guys, welcome to episode 26 of Get Your Buzz On. I have special guest over here.
Peter Dewetter.
And what do you do, Mr. Dewetter?
I'm with RJL Real Estate. We do commercial real estate brokerage, focusing mostly on retail leasing and sales here in El Paso.
Awesome. Yay! So we're gonna get into that, and I'm gonna pop open a bottle of some awesome Prosecco. Thank God I got that. I'm like, don't be scared, don't be scared.
I was thinking you need a like a sword. You know how
Oh
they do
yeah.
it? So you can pop off.
No one should trust me with that though, because
That's true.
That
Double
was
the
a
danger.
horrible pour. I'm sorry.
That's right.
So how have you been doing?
I've been good. It's been an interesting 5 months, but it's been different than the past 5 years in that I've been able to work from home and spend more time with my daughters.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we have a new baby, and so I'd leave for work at 7 or 7:30, get home at 6, and she'd be asleep. So
Yeah.
I've gotten to spend more time with them than I have in years. So
Which makes
it's
it
been
nice.
good. Yeah, that part's been good. So bittersweet, I guess.
Yeah. How much orange juice do you want? Just tell me when.
That's good.
Oops, sorry. Oh well. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
I definitely need that. So, what do you actually like? What businesses have you brought in, and what? Let's dig deep into.
Let's go deep. Okay.
Yeah, let's dig deep into what you do, because a lot of people don't know your exact background or how you got into it. So
Yeah.
you started off where you want to.
So I grew up in El Paso. We moved here, and where we're filming in my parents' house is where
Which
we moved.
is a beautiful house.
Thank you. We moved here when I was 5 years old, so grew up in El Paso, went to Coronado High School, and then left and moved to Dallas in 2003. So went to college out there, met my wife there, moved back to El Paso in end of 2015. So we've been back about 3.5 years. And in addition to having all of our family here, part of the attraction was working for RJL, which is kind of the probably most active retail commercial broker in El Paso. So we do a lot of the newer retail projects. So for example, Westtown Marketplace, where there's the new Cabela's, Walmart Supercenter.
Yeah.
So we were the listing brokers involved with that property that helped attract, the Cabela's and TJ and Ross and all those tenants.
Which I have to thank you for, because my husband used to always complain about driving all the way to the west side since we live far east. But ever since the Cabela's went out there, he doesn't mind going over there. He's like,
Well, he's ready to move.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, okay. But now the Cabela's, he doesn't mind going up there. We do the stop there because he's the hunter. So
Yeah.
that's why he loves those stores.
Yep.
So I'm glad that you guys brought that out there so he can see.
Yeah. Yep. So, and then we did the fountains at Farah, and that was already, that was built, I think maybe 6 or 8 years ago now. Mm-hmm. But RJL was the leasing agent, so they were brought in all those tenants, and then as I moved here, I've been involved with a lot of the leasing there, the Whole Foods center, so doing the Whole Foods, and then the tenants there, and then now we're working on East Lake Marketplace at East Lake and I-10. It'll be about a 240,000 square foot center out there.
Dang, that's
So
crazy.
yeah.
So what kind of stores, like how do you guys know what stores, or do you guys see which ones that are looking to come out here or try to convince on?
It's kind of a combination. So sometimes there are tenants that, like Ross, which has 1 million stores in the El Paso market. This is probably one of their best performing markets in the country.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So if you see what their sales volumes are compared to their average, it's like double or triple their national average. So someone like that is always looking for locations. We don't represent Ross, but we represent some of the shopping centers that they go into. Mm-hmm. So there's ones like that are just like easy, makes sense. But part of what I love about what I do is I can go out and call anyone, not that they're going to come here, but we have a cool concept that I see when I'm in Dallas or whatever, and try to figure out if they're a candidate to come to El Paso. It's challenging. I mean, El Paso is a big city, so we've got between Juarez, El Paso, Las Cruces, it's 2.5 million people.
Yeah.
But it's a unique economy. And so there are just certain retailers that aren't going to come here based on the demographics in El Paso.
Yeah.
So, my mom and wife and sisters would love to have a Neiman Marcus here. But,
oh gosh, yeah.
Or
Nordstrom's.
We have Nordstrom Rack. So you just kind of, and it took time, but you learn to understand what kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And the longer I've done it, the more I've learned, what these hot buttons are for retailers, who makes sense. The stories we can tell about other successful retailers or restaurants or whatever here. Mm-hmm. And it's a long process. It takes, especially for a new retailer. I mean, someone like a Whole Foods or Cabela's, that's years, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years of, from first maybe submitting sites or trying to gauge interest to getting executive attention, getting people out here to tour them, and then going through the lease or sale process is a year. So they're long sales cycles.
So what made you decide to go into commercial instead of residential?
My dad was in residential for, I think, since like 80. So he was in residential for, 40 years? Mm-hmm. So he owned Caldwell Banker here and sold the franchise about 5 years ago. I knew enough about the business. It just never interested me. I think commercial is just more of a, it's less emotional. It's more of a business decision.
Yeah.
And I did industrial, more of an industrial focus when I lived in Dallas. When I moved to El Paso, I did retail, mm-hmm. which is really, I've learned that that's really what I love to do. It's just fun to know, clients that I have. So whatever retailer you go see, you can go see it. You can experience their food or their services or the shopping experience. So it's more tangible to me, and just more exciting to be part of, helping these tenants, find the best locations for them, or landlords and identifying the best tenants that are going to make a strong shopping center.
Yeah, and we needed a lot of them to come in. It took a while. Like even the fountains and everything, it took a very long time to get that rolling, and now it's busy all the time.
It is, yeah. No, it's one of the most, probably successful and recognized shopping centers in the region. Mm-hmm. I mean, from here to maybe Midland, and I don't know anything about Midland, but maybe there's centers there. But and then you look the other way and maybe up to Albuquerque, but for several hundred miles in each direction, that's like one of the most recognized for sure. So, yeah. But as you said, it takes, from buying the site to developing it and attracting to. I mean, that's a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6+ year process. So
I don't have.
You gotta have patience. Yeah.
Yeah. So you must have a lot of patience.
Yeah. Well, I don't. But you learn to. But it's in El Paso. What's nice here too is we do mostly retail. But I'm involved with, land sales. So we've sold about 350 acres of land around East Lake and I-10. So where River Oaks is doing their shopping center, mm-hmm. all the where the Amazon's going, like all that surrounding areas. We've I've been working on that since I got here, and we've sold a bunch of land. We've done hotel deals. We've sold the Barnes and Noble and the Macy's on Sunland Park. So it's across the board in the types of deals that we get to do.
Yeah.
And then all the way down to like, insurance groups or whatever. Yeah. They're looking for office space. And so some of the deal cycles are shorter. They're never easy, but.
So how do you feel about Amazon coming?
I'm excited. I mean, it's a huge thing for El Paso. I think when the city made the announcement, they were misinformed. It's, I think they said it was 600 and something thousand square feet. It's more like 3 million square feet.
Oh, geez. I didn't even know that because I thought it was like that.
So it's like 670,000 square feet, but it's multiple stories. Oh. So the floor plate, one level is that size. But when it's 4 or 5 stories, you get up to whatever it is, 2.5, 3 million square feet. So it's a lot of jobs. I mean, it's the biggest, other than the Union Pacific intermodal deal that was out in San Therese. Yeah. I mean, it's the largest project that's come to El Paso, in a long time since I've known
Well,
about
and I
El
had
Paso.
no idea it was that big.
Oh, it's huge, yeah. And so I think they're saying over 700 jobs, and I would think more for that size.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of a trickle effect, and the timing was good for all of the other development in the area, because when Amazon was announced, the pandemic hit, and so it offset concerns with leasing retail space or land sale, all these other kind of deals that we were working in the area. That kind of offset a lot of the concern and saying,
Yeah.
look, you've got 3 million square feet fulfillment center out here, so
You know,
things
Amazon's
change.
going to bring a lot of
Yeah.
jobs and a lot of,
Yeah.
it'll be great for our economy and everything too.
It will, and I think they'll expand. They do this, and then hopefully over time they'll look at other facilities and expand their presence. And it's kind of scary how big they are, but as a shopper, it's nice.
Yeah.
That
Are we
means we're
going to
gonna-
get same day service?
Yeah, I mean it's a fulfillment center, so that's where they fulfill the orders. So now that they're here, our packages, probably not everything. They don't stock.
Yeah.
But in 3 million square feet, you can stock a lot of stuff.
Don't tell Justin that. I'll be like,
Same day, yes. 1 hour delivery, drones, and
oh
everything
my
else.
God, I would love that.
Yeah.
But I'd have to do it before he got home or something.
Yeah.
All of us really like it, so it makes it super convenient.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's huge for El Paso, and then the people that live in, Mission Ridge out there. I think eventually there'll be like 20,000 homes.
Yes,
and
it's crazy.
they've got right now very little retail, restaurant services. I mean, there are some strip centers and restaurants as you go up East Lake, but for the amount of homes that are there, it's underdeveloped. Not for long, but
Yeah.
in the next 9 months to 2 years, that whole area is going to look completely different.
Yeah. How have you seen El Paso grow from when you first started to now?
Well, it's been from when I
when
left
you
in
were younger.
2003.
Yeah.
And I'd come back for Christmas break or summer or whatever. But I didn't go drive around the city. I mean, it was kind of come to the airport, come home, and hang out with friends, and you don't pay attention to the growth. And so as I moved back and got into real estate, especially where you need to know, what's going on and where the growth is and all the, development and everything else, it's unrecognizable. Like Joe Battle, I think George Dieter and I-10. I remember Krispy Kreme went there, the
Yeah.
Tinseltown. That was like at the end of high school, and that was a big deal. And then development stopped. And now there's everything east of Joe Battle, where you guys live.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
it's a whole different, and that's another, 15 to 20, 25,000 homes.
Well, I remember your wife was like, we were going on a kid's play date, and then I was like, well, just come to my house. And like, she was like, first of all, she had no idea how far east
Yeah.
I lived. Second, she was like, you guys have a Sephora out here? You have a Super Target out
Yeah.
here? She was like,
You got more stuff than we
yeah,
do.
she was like, what the hell? I
Yeah.
had no idea.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, so that area was actually the fastest growing part of El Paso, Tierra del Este, where you
Oh,
guys live.
really?
It was the number one in terms of home growth. Excuse me. And now Mission Ridge has taken over, so that's now the fastest growing in terms of home growth. For sure, commercial, just development projects out there. So that's now, but between those two, and they kind of run against each other.
Yeah.
So between those two, it's a huge, for sure the fastest growing, and then third would probably be out here by Artcraft and I-10.
Well, like the Horizon area, it's a city in its own. Like people
Yeah.
don't realize they've got everything's like out newer. Before people wouldn't even think about moving there, and now it's just completely different.
Yeah, I played golf in high school and would go play golf tournaments out there, and it felt like, at the time, it felt like you were driving out to Midland or something.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else around it. And
For
now
sure.
all of the Mission Ridge stuff connects into Horizon. They did that Walmart there, and with that came all the fast food guys, and then the micro hospital, and so they're going to benefit a ton from the kind of the overflow from all
sure.
the East Lake development that's going on.
For sure. So how has the epidemic with COVID comes out, how has that slowed down the whole market with construction, with retail market, with everything going on?
So luckily, construction was considered an essential business, so that I think remained pretty strong during the pandemic, or once it started. From March, whatever the date was, March 17th, whenever everything kind of shut down, until the end of May, it was scary. Every 90% of the deals we had didn't die, but they were at least kind of put on hold, and
Yeah.
everybody was kind of the wait and see, let's see what happens before we commit to anything. And then it was June 1st, it's like something clicked and everybody was back on track. I mean, I was getting from, trying to figure out what to do all day just to keep busy and keep things moving.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden, the opposite, where my phone's ringing, my emails are, so that was, from so stressful to a lot more optimism then.
Yeah.
These past 2 months have been some of the busiest since I've been back.
That's awesome.
So, not to say there aren't a lot of challenges. I mean, there's been, I think, 25 national retailers that have filed for bankruptcy this year.
Oh, yeah.
Steinmart filed yesterday, which I think they only have one location left in El Paso, but.
Well, it's all West Elm, like
Yeah.
Nike and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's been brutal, and I think it's just starting. Now, a lot of that, this had started before the pandemic, where the retail industry was like, if you don't evolve, then you kind of die. So the Sears model, all these retailers that just didn't evolve, and then there were the beneficiaries of Walmart and Target, those that like really did a good job in evolving into this e-commerce model and this blended approach, where they have an e-commerce model, the pickup, the kind of catering to customer demand. And so there's going to be I think a bunch of retailers, restaurants, I mean, just a lot of brands that continue to file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And then it just depends, where Steinmart's probably going to close all of their stores, most if not all. But there are some that reorganize, and then hopefully they take that opportunity to revise their business plans and learn from it and grow and become successful. So. Well,
I just think a lot of times, like the big box stores, they didn't realize they didn't change with the times, like you said, like the Amazons and everything like that, and they're like, I remember J. Crew, that used to be like the go-to. Go-to, that was what you wanted to wear, and now it's like when they filed for bankruptcy and everything, and then and it's just crazy to me to see how much it's just changing right now.
Yeah.
And Nike too.
Well, it's like I said, it started, I think, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and so all this was inevitable. It just, the pandemic sped everything up by 3 years or whatever.
That's true.
So some of these retail, maybe they could have pivoted and adjusted before, going bankrupt, but a lot of these guys, Brooks Brothers, I think of them, they're Simon, the mall owner's buying them.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Largely because they're in a lot of Simon malls.
Yeah.
So they can keep them in there and keep the product or whatever. But, something like that, like I'll go buy a couple of dress shirts. But aside from that, it's like they catered to our dad's age, and those guys are retiring and don't need to go buy suits and button-downs, whatever anymore.
Yeah.
And our generation is less formal and, more about style or whatever. And so they just became kind of obsolete and didn't, so it's, you feel bad for the jobs that are lost and who it affects, but it's also hard to feel too bad for the retailer itself that doesn't manage to
change with the
to
times.
evolve. Yeah.
Well, now it's like too, even the guy shirts. Now it's the untucked look. That's like the one that's like coming in, because I've seen like Polo. They're starting to do a lot of the untucked and like the company untucked. So it's just crazy how too our wardrobe has evolved to where we used to like. You guys used to wear suit and ties, and now it's just not like that anymore.
Well, now I wear basketball shorts and a t-shirt every day.
Yeah, you're like, whatever's comfortable. We're more about comfy.
This is like my new tuxedo. This is as formal as it gets.
So how has working from home been in comparison to being at the office? Has that been a transition?
Yeah, it's been, so I worked from home about 10 years ago. I started an office for a staffing company, different type of business, but from home. So I'd done it for a year and a half or 2 years. So like the routine of it was fine. It was hard. I didn't have doors for my office, and I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. And so I'd be on conference calls and you would just hear constant screaming. My 1-year-old, like, if she's not constantly fed,
That's mine.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
So if she's not constantly fed, she is like making these whining noises. So I'd be on a Zoom call and whatever. The good thing is that it kind of humanized everything. In the business world, sometimes it's like very formal and it's almost uptight.
Yeah.
And as soon as people started working from home, I'd be on a call, and on the other end it'd be the lawnmower, the phone ringing, the doorbell ringing, dogs barking, whatever. And so, I think everybody kind of related a little bit more. So, But it's been moving forward. I've you know, like I said earlier, the opportunity to spend more time with my daughters. Like a few days a week, I'll take Brooklyn swimming. Like at lunchtime, we'll come over here and go swimming. And you know, I feel like I'm being as, if not even more productive. I save the commute time, so I'll probably stick with it. You know, at least 2 to 3 days a week, just kind of indefinitely.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing to find that healthy balance too.
Yeah.
For me, it is impossible to work from home. I can't do it. I literally am like, even like I had 2 days where I had to work from home, and I had people calling me, the kids hanging on me, like, and everything. And Justin's like, you need to go back to the office, because when he'd come home, I would be a beast. I was literally like, I gotta finish all my phone calls.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's tough. I mean, luckily Lizbeth, my wife, you know, she's home with the kids, and she does a great job. And I mean, I try to. It's nice to be there for her. So if she needs a 5-minute break, I can, you know, step in and take the kids for hopefully more than 5 minutes, but take the kids for a little bit and give her a little breathing room, let her reset, and then I go back to work. And so, you know, it's an adjustment, but.
My hats are off to anyone that's a stay-at-home parent, because it's a 24-hour job, cleaning, cooking, kids, like constant. So for her, I'm always like, I don't know how you do it.
Oh, I have the kids. Rarely do I'm with our 4-year-old a lot. Elizabeth's with the baby more, or with both. And so I don't know if I've ever had them both for more than an hour, but that 1 hour with 2 little kids seems like a frickin'.
You're like looking at your clock.
Oh my gosh. Like I've had to call, almost every time I've had to call my mom, my sister, somebody to come over and help.
Yeah.
So it makes me appreciate her even more, and appreciate when if she's not too happy at the end of the day or tired or whatever. Like I'm like, okay, I get it.
You're like,
go lie down. I'll
I know
try
the
to do what I
struggle.
can. Yeah.
No, because the thing is, like when because we have kids the same age, but like my son, he doesn't understand like the baby stage, and so like we kind of have to divide and conquer. So when you have one person, you're keeping an eye on the baby, but then this one's like climbing on the walls and like wanting the attention and stuff. So it's
constant. There's and the T-state. Yeah, you're right. We have similar ages, and so it's, you know, the 4-year-old picks on the 1-year-old, or the 1-year-old's trying to climb on something, and you got to grab her before she falls off and hits her head. And yeah, it's tiring. I've aged. I looked at pictures of me from like 3 years ago. Actually, Elizabeth sent me one yesterday of us this was 4.5 years ago, before we had Brooklyn. She was pregnant. And we both looked so young. Like in 4 years, you don't realize how much you age. Gray hair. I didn't have any gray hair. And now I'm like.
Well, you know what? My husband's like, I didn't have any gray hair until I met you. And I was like, whatever.
It was the kids.
That's what I said. Yeah. Well, no sleep. That's a whole thing.
No sleep. Well, and there's, I love it and I wouldn't trade it. But there's no break. I mean, we're lucky. My mom is very involved. So she's with my daughter right now at the pool. So she's almost every day she is somehow involved. But, you know, just being a parent's tough. It's nonstop.
It is. That's what I tell people. I'm like, it's not a joke.
No, it's real.
But it does help. That's why I tell anyone that's a new parent that hasn't been, I'm like, I know you might not think that living close to your parents is a good idea, but if they can help you at that point when you are a parent and you need them, like you're just like, I'll do whatever it takes. Your mindset changes a lot too. I feel like.
I've never been closer to my parents, I think, since we had kids.
Me too.
It's just like you have. That's why we moved back. We moved back from Dallas to El Paso when 3 months after we had Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And that was the plan, because my family's here, her family's here, so it's like it made total sense, and we didn't fully even know at the time, but how much, you know, without family or a very reliable, affordable sitter, like you have no free time.
No, it's very difficult.
So, and you need it, like you need that time. So anyway, it's been a good decision to be back for sure.
Yeah, no, and I think like it helps that you can trust. And honestly, like I came from a house that my grandmother was like, she was at our house every day. They picked us up from school. Like they were very involved, and I wanted the grandkids to be super, like to know them and to be involved with them and stuff. And then Justin's parents and my parents live within 4 blocks away from each other, 10 minutes from the office. So and both of us work. He works on Traywood, I work on by Lee Trevino. So everything's
right
like in that
Yeah.
same circle. So it makes it super convenient.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's better for everyone. I mean, not only for us, for the kids to grow up. Because I've got 2 sisters who each have 3 kids, and they live, we're all within 3 blocks of each other. For the grandparents to be around, I mean, my mom's the only one I know who has all of her kids and all of her grandkids in El Paso and also within 3 blocks.
Yeah.
So it's, no, we're lucky. I mean, I feel, and El Paso is just, I mean, I love Dallas and I was there for like 12 or 13 years, but I never had the sense of like community and home that I have here. Like here, I know, like I don't want to move. I've done it. And I think most kids in high school are ready to get out.
Yeah,
like, I don't want to be in El
for
Paso.
sure.
I want to go to big whatever city, Dallas or Austin or whatever, which is fun and it's good to do and it's good to get out and get some perspective. Mm-hmm. But especially when you have a family, like coming back here, being with family, just the quality, the pace of life, the affordability. Like if we go play golf, like you go to Dallas, you got to make tee time a week in advance. It's packed, it's a headache. Where here you get on and it's like, it's
Get out
easy.
and have fun.
Yeah, I mean it's so just the quality of life and the lack of, I don't know, crowds and everybody's so friendly here. I mean that's even when we lived in Dallas, everybody from other cities would always comment, like if there's a group of El Pasoans that they knew, they'd always comment about how, down to earth and nice and just easygoing El Pasoans are.
Yeah, it makes it, and I think too, like you said, I think when you're younger, you want to go out to the clubs, you want to go to the coolest stuff.
Yeah.
When you get to our age, you just don't care.
I just want to sit down.
You just want to sleep.
Yeah. I want to take a nap.
Yeah, I just want to sleep.
Be alone for a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't need the loud noise. I don't need all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to have that, and then you come back and you're like, okay, it works out great. And like I said, our parents help out a lot, so that's what makes it super convenient too.
Yeah, for sure.
So what advice do you have for anyone that's looking to get in the commercial real estate game?
Probably the best thing I could tell you is find somebody with experience who's successful and has done it before and try to work under them. Mm-hmm. So that's, when I came back, I got to work under a guy named Rick Amstetter, who's been in the business for 40 years. He's, I would say, by far the most active retail broker in El Paso. Mm-hmm. The timing is right, but I learned more from working with him in 2 months than I did in 2 years in Dallas.
Yeah.
So finding somebody that's busy, that can kind of, because when you get started, it's like I said earlier, it's a very long sales process.
Yeah.
And so you've got to be prepared to not make any money for a while. Like when we moved back from Dallas, my wife, Elizabeth, Brooklyn, 2 dogs, and myself lived in my parents' back house for 4 months because I didn't know it was commission only. Like I didn't know when I'd make a check. So, I think that's part of it, being prepared to not make money for a while. And there's a lot of upside and there's opportunity to make a lot of money, but it takes time. But if you're with the right group and you can work under a broker who has been successful and can help guide you and get you, it's a lot about reps too. That it's a complicated business. And the more reps you get, the more deals you work, the more you learn, and then the better you're able to help your clients and actually get deals done, in the future. So find the right mentor, I would say, is the biggest thing.
How many big commercial real estate companies are there here? Because I'm not that familiar with the commercial real estate game.
There's residential has a lot more agents and brokerages in El Paso. Mm-hmm. So commercial, there's maybe 6 to 8. And within those, some of them really specialize in different areas. Like we do primarily retail, and then we have one of our partners who's the most active medical broker. Mm-hmm. And we do a little office and land and everything else. But, we're probably most well known for retail. There are some that are more well known for industrial, like warehouses and stuff. So It's not as saturated as some of the bigger cities,
Yeah.
but each specializes, and so we obviously work deals with each other. I also do a lot of deals directly with tenants or landlords without outside brokers, more so than in Dallas, where there's always a broker on each side of the deal. So there in El Paso, it's a little different. We have a lot of relationships with the developers and the owners here, where we're kind of able to help both sides. So
Yeah. Well, and that way everything that's going on. So you're like you said, even with the buildings, you're like, okay, Ross, I think you'll like this area, or you know because you're used to dealing with the businesses and stuff. What are some of the biggest retailers that you brought besides Amazon that most people don't know that you've helped bringing over here?
New retailer. I mean, there's some that we're currently working, so I can't disclose it.
Damn
We'll do a follow-up episode.
Damn it.
But there are some cool new concepts coming into town. I mean, I think the ones we've done you probably know about. RJL's done the ones I mentioned: Cabela's, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Top Golf.
I didn't know Top Golf.
Dave and Buster's. I guess that's it. I mean, but a lot of the retail deals, and I say RJL because they're not me personally necessarily. Some are, some aren't. But RJL's been involved in a lot of the bigger retail restaurants, and we work with the majority of the fast food. So we do work for Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Raising Cane's. I mean, probably 80% of the kind of national fast food guys. We do the work.
Yeah.
We represent them.
Yeah. When you were starting with the commercial game, how long did it take you to get your first paycheck? The game.
So I first started in commercial real estate in Dallas, and I made one commission in 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
I started in 2009 during the Great Recession, which was good. I mean, at the time it sucked, but hindsight it was good in that I kind of learned the business during the hardest possible time. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't making money. I was making 100 cold calls a day and not getting anywhere, and stuck with it. I mean, I did it 2 years there, and I made one deal in 2 years. At RJL, so I've been there 3.5 years. I've done, for my first check was probably 6 months maybe, which is not, that's probably not, there's some that take longer. Yeah, it might be 9, 12 months, whatever. And then, it's kind of the pipeline thing. Like over time, you get more and more deals in your pipeline, and then every month you're closing 4, 5, 6, 10 deals, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think at this point I've done for maybe 100, a little over 100 million in transactions and about, I don't know, maybe 100 deals or so.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like you said, it's just, luckily you didn't have kids. You were just like on your own, and you were able to.
Yeah, if I had kids and a home and wife, I was young, single, so it didn't matter that much.
Yeah.
But it was a tough time.
You have to know, like, when you're able to make those transitions.
Yeah.
And like you said, you lived in the casita because you didn't know.
Yeah.
I think that's the smartest thing. It's like commercial insurance. I just don't have the patience for it. I know the coins are a lot more than home and auto, but it's just, for me, I like things done. I instant gratification. That's my thing.
Yeah. Well, and you do, even in commercial, the deals are always, I mean, the fastest deal I've done was maybe a week, but that was a rare exception.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the minimum is probably 3 months. Some I've been working on we've got a building in escrow right now on the west side, and I've been working on it for 3.5 years.
Jesus.
And it may close in 15 days. But so that's 3.5 years of marketing, negotiating. So you never know. And then there's some, big deals that come through that, for whatever reason, there's a sense of, like, we sold the freestanding ER on Mesa, the old Complete Care there, and that was during the pandemic, but it was the demand for it was driven by COVID.
Yeah.
And that was, a large transaction that was done in 2 months or less.
Jeez.
And at the time, it was the biggest one I had done. So you never know.
Do you think it's more connections that now people know you in the commercial industry, or do you think it takes a little while to build that trust with
You know, my
retailers?
wife tells me she has a hard time explaining to people what I do.
Yeah.
And so, like my peer group in El Paso, I've never really marketed myself saying, here's what I do, let me know if you need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I could probably do a better job with that. That's probably your fastest path to making deals is people that you know, that trust you, that you could work with, and there's bound to be business that way. In El Paso, again, being kind of unique, I mean, there's 5 families that own the majority of commercial real estate in El Paso.
Yeah.
I think we have a pretty good reputation with all of them. So for sure, the national retailer is different. I mean, that's typically they have out-of-town brokers, and it's, yes, there's a relationship, and yes, you can be the guy they come to when they come into town, but it's not as much in your control. But yeah, otherwise, relationships are the most important part of the business. Mm-hmm. And in El Paso, it's very tight-knit. So, you have everybody knows each other, and for good or bad, if you have a good reputation and everyone knows the good or the bad of you, then, it can help or hurt you.
So I deal with a lot of the real estate, like the business and everything like that, and there's a ton of drama that goes into it. How is commercial the same way?
Drama, like what?
Oh, you name it, it's there.
Like between agents or between
Brokers, between agents, I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
I hear all the tea, so I just I sit back and I'm just like, I'm the insurance agent.
I'm sure there's some, on occasion. For the most part, in my experience in commercial real estate, everybody's pretty honorable, pretty honest. Again, the reputation thing, like it's not worth you trying to, if you're dishonest or whatever, it's just not worth it. It's such a short-term mentality. So doing the right thing, I always try to do myself, but I think for the most part, everybody's works pretty well together.
It's a lot different.
No big complaints. Yeah, and you're, I mean, I'm an independent contractor. I'm self-employed.
Yeah.
So I totally control what and who I work with. Now, I need to work with a lot of people to make money, but there's some freedom in knowing that I can choose, because I hate the drama too. I can't stand it, and it's just not worth it to me. And so if there's a scenario where there's a bunch of drama or dishonesty or whatever involved, I'm just not going to deal with it.
You're like, it's not worth it.
No, it's not. It's not worth it.
No, and I think too, we're at the age where we just don't care.
Yeah, there's other stuff to do. There's more important things in life than, putting up with somebody's crap.
Well, let's just say I had one episode where it was like all this drama a couple weeks ago, and my son decided to shit himself.
Oh,
and then I had my daughter like running around like crazy, and it was before Justin was home from work. So they're like having a meltdown, and I'm just like I'm just not like there. I'm just like, right now it's like not the time. So it's just completely, I think a lot of times people don't realize how your age also, like what you have going on affects how you're going to do, what your outlook is to everything, and how you're going to respond to everything too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's maturity, and that's in this business, a lot of people are experienced. I mean, people have been in the business a while, there's a level of maturity, and so it's not like high school where, all this drama comes up. So no drama.
So what's something that most people don't know about you?
Gosh, that's a good question. I don't know. What's one thing people don't know about me? Our last, that's a secret. I can't reveal my secrets.
I mean, I've had people cry on this thing. I've had people say that they got arrested. Like, I've had everything.
Yeah, it's part of the show.
Gets people loosened up.
Gosh, I don't know if I have a good answer for it.
Uh-huh.
Can you give me some direction?
I mean,
what have people said before? Maybe I can.
One said last week, she said she had a phobia of cotton balls. One said that he was a vegan.
I'm not a vegan. I am deathly afraid of snakes.
Oh, really?
I don't know if that's exciting, but I hate snakes. I won't even go hiking Elizabeth wants to go hiking in the Franklin Mountains, and I don't want to go because
She doesn't want to go hiking. She thinks she does. She
yeah,
doesn't want to go.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm like,
It's 100 degrees.
I know her ass. She doesn't want to
Yeah,
go.
no. She wants to go have brunch at Kona.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I know her love language.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny because, like, when I first met Justin, he was like an Eagle Scout and all that crap. And so he had said, he's like super into outdoors, hunting and everything. And I'm very opposite. So, like, he had said the first time his family had come in town, he was like, I want you to come meet my family and we're going to go hiking. So I was like, okay, I've never been hiking. I want to make a good impression on his family. It's like that honeymoon stage where you're just like, yeah,
everything's
this
to
sounds...
impress.
And in my mind, I'm like freaking out about it.
Yeah.
I decided to go out the night before, stayed out till about 3. Then he calls me at like 6 o'clock in the morning, like, are you ready to go? I legit was so hungover. I was seeping just
smelled
alcohol.
like a bar.
Yeah, like just alcohol. Luckily, though, I still wasn't even the last person on the hike. It was like in my younger, more fitter days. But he was like, to this day, he's like, I just remember how bad you just smelled like alcohol. And he was like, and so then the second time I went hiking with him, it was like when we were married and stuff. And so mid-hike, I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. And he was just like, well, you can't just leave. I'm not going to let you go by yourself down because we had a group of people. And I was like, oh, no, I'm going. So I left. I was like, I'm going by myself. He's like, what if something happens to you? I'm like, I've got my phone. Peace.
Nice.
And so I left and I went to brunch.
Nice. See, that sounds like more fun to me.
Yeah.
I don't like exercising or whatever, but I don't know. The little free time we have, hiking just doesn't sound like fun to me.
No, I mean, I hate nature. So that's the other thing, too.
I hate nature.
Well, I just don't like
That
to...
should be your tagline.
I just don't like to sweat. I like to look nice. I'm like, if I'm not look like that, that's how I look like when I'm around the kids on the weekends and stuff. Like, I want to look nice. I want to go out and do all that stuff. It's like, I don't want to be sweaty with dirt and everything like that.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So you understand the struggle. So I think that's where she doesn't understand.
She doesn't. I think we do it once and...
Oh, you'll be done. Like, half mountain, she'll be like, I'm done.
That's where snake boots.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no way. I know her. She's like, she's going to want to go to the Grove or something.
We could be on the way and I'd be like, hey, should we stop for
Exactly.
brunch? And then,
So you're scared of snakes. What did you get your degree in college? Where did you go to school?
I went to school at SMU, which is Southern Methodist University in Dallas. Majored in economics, which I couldn't tell you much about economics now. I made it through college.
That was the whole
I graduated.
thing. Yeah.
With a subpar GPA, but...
D's get degrees, that's what I said.
Yeah. We made it through, so... but it was fun. Dallas is, it's a cool city. SMU is great. Our football team was terrible, but it was way different than El Paso.
What made you decide to go to SMU?
My entire family went there. So
okay.
My parents met there. Both my sisters went there, and there was no pressure. I mean, my parents didn't care where I went, but I was just familiar with it. I mean, I'd grown up, my oldest sister, Lauren, is 5 years older than me, so I would, from when I was 13, we'd go up and visit her, go to football games, the city of Dallas. So it was kind of it felt familiar. There was like a level of comfort, and it's a good school, so it was fun.
What was it like to grow up with 2 sisters?
Hell. No, it was fun. I mean, I love my sisters a lot. We're close today. Our family is very close. Obviously, we live physically we're close to each other, but we all spend a lot of time together. So, being the youngest, you get picked on, get dressed up in dresses. But it was good. It probably made me who I am by having a house of girls.
Yeah.
And now I have 2 daughters and a house of girls.
You're just used to it now.
So it's just kind of the norm, yeah.
Well, are you guys planning on any more? Or is it just 2 and that's it?
No more. Sorry, Mom. My mom was we were undecided like 2 months ago, and then I think it was the first, when quarantine was kind of lightened and some restaurants opened up, Elizabeth and I went to brunch one day on a date, and we had a couple of drinks, and we were like, okay, yeah, maybe let's think about having a third. And by the end of the day, we were like, yeah, okay, we're gonna have a third.
Yeah.
And then got home, sobered up. 2 days later, we're like, no. After spending more time with the kids, it's like, no, we're happy. I mean, we have 2 beautiful, healthy daughters. You know, we're happy with the girls we have. So
Yeah.
I think we're done. And selfishly, you know, it's there's no time for not only ourselves but for each other, for our
Yeah.
marriage, and you know, so we've had to really try to make that a priority. But I'm looking forward to, you know, our kids growing up and Elizabeth and I having time to travel or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's, and maybe it's a little selfish, but there's
No.
stuff to look forward to. You know, when you have a baby, 1, 2, 3, 4-year-old, I mean, life is all about
Them.
Yeah, for Elizabeth especially, but even for me, if I'm not working,
Yeah.
I mean, I got to play golf 4 times in the past 6 weeks, which was amazing.
That's, yeah.
But before that, it had been 10 months since I'd played. So, you know, we're trying to, you know, I think it's important that we take ourselves and each other as a priority.
Yeah.
And, you know, you kind of, when you have kids, you don't know what you're doing. You kind of learn as you go. So I'm looking to get back to, you know, enjoying each other too.
Yeah. I think the thing is that the other thing is they're expensive. I think you think of college, you have to think of like
Oh my
everything
God.
that it comes with. And
They eat a ton.
Yeah, and it's like my Costco bill is crazy. Like I think that I think you just have to be realistic to say what you can handle.
Yeah.
And it's like for me, I was like, if we had another one, I couldn't work because there's already so many things that
too
happen.
many, yeah.
Yeah, there's too
There's too much
things.
going on.
Yeah.
Well, and it's, so from 0 to, people always ask what the hardest is, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3.
1 to 2 for sure.
And I agree. I mean, 0 to 1's the biggest life change.
Yes.
Like you go from taking care of yourself to
Yeah.
now having a human. But in terms of like difficulty, 1 to 2 was so freaking hard.
Yeah, I think once like friend of Cassidy, she's got her boys that are like
Yeah.
6 to 5 or
Even old, I think like, yeah, 4 and 6 or whatever.
sorry, Cassidy, if
No,
I don't
6
know.
and 8, yeah.
But they like entertain each other, but
Yeah.
it's like you see that and you're like, okay, but right now
Yeah,
it's so
I'll
difficult
look forward to
because
that.
yeah, it's so difficult because the older one doesn't understand like
Yeah, they're jealous and yeah, they don't get it.
well, Lucas is an asshole to his younger sister. He really is.
Brooklyn is the worst. She runs up and just kicks. She'll kick the Charlotte. She'll kick the dog. She's scared of me, which is nice.
Well, like
She
it's
says,
so
"Don't
funny
tell
because
Dad."
even Elizabeth's like, I'm even scared of her.
She is. There's some switch in her that. Hopefully, it's a phase.
Well, it's funny because when we used to have play dates with Lucas in Brooklyn, she'd be like, why doesn't she just chill like Lucas? Lucas is very like, go with the flow, chill.
Yeah.
And then I got my daughter, which is completely, it's just like Brooklyn. So it's just
Yeah.
funny how.
It's well, and it's Charlotte. So our kids are the opposite of yours then. So Brooklyn, the older one's the little devil, and then Charlotte's like the sweetest little thing. Like even with our dog, she just pets. Yeah, most kids pull tails.
Yeah.
She's like a gentle spirit. So I think she's more like my wife, who's sweet, and Brooklyn's more like me, a little asshole. And
Well,
hopefully we all survive.
well, and you do know there's an arranged marriage going on between
Oh,
my son and Brooklyn.
Yeah. Mill.
So I was like, I just said, well, at least their personalities would work out
Yeah.
together.
Well, she'll need a patient. That's like Elizabeth. She's patient, and I'm not.
Yeah, well, and I'm not
kinda-
either. Justin's very like, he's chill. I think we balance each other out.
Yeah. No, you need that. I mean, that's how both my sisters, like, they're the same way. Both my parents are a little more on it. Like,
Yeah.
neither of them are very laid back.
No.
But most people I know are probably.
Who are you more like, your mom or your dad?
Probably my dad. Everybody says I sound exactly like him. But probably my dad.
Your dad.
Yeah.
Who are you
I'm more like
closer
rigid
to?
and, I'm close to both of them actually. And that change, like it's evolved over the years. You're a teenager and you're
Yeah,
kind of a jerk to your parents.
of course.
And it's just evolved over the years, but now I'm close to both of them. My dad and I play golf together a lot. I see my mom almost daily. I mean, she's a huge part of
Yeah.
our lives and our kids' lives, and a huge help. So, you know, we text, talk, and see each other almost daily. So
you're like, so are you more of a mama's boy or?
ask my wife. Probably more of a mama's boy.
But
yeah.
she's close to your mom though.
She is for sure.
She's like
I mean, my
super
mom,
close.
Yeah. No,
to your
they're
mom.
very close. Yeah. No, our family's close, and I love Elizabeth's parents too. I mean, they're awesome and fun to be with. So
Yeah, they have a beautiful family. You guys have a really beautiful family.
thank you.
With the kids and everything.
Yeah.
So living close by, Elizabeth wasn't like, that's too close for comfort?
You know,
Because I know I would be like.
I think she didn't want to live like next door.
Yeah.
Now we're a 10-minute walk or a 30-second drive, so we're still pretty close.
Yeah.
But no, I think Elizabeth and my mom are close and get along well, and you know, there's some barriers that we kind of keep up, but no, for the most part, I think she's comfortable with her.
See, I couldn't do that with my parents. They're like, there's no boundaries.
They just show up whenever they want.
There's just nothing. I have no privacy. I've never had privacy, and I never have it now. But I think even when I told my parents that we were looking at moving on the west side, my mom cried. She was like, for a week, she was like in this like deep depression that we were gonna take the grandkids away, and then she finally was like, okay, when you guys decide you're gonna move, then we'll move
They
too.
can move too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like,
Yeah. Problem solved.
it's just very dramatic.
Well, and they're only 30 minutes away.
Yeah,
If you
like-
did live.
But I said, Mom, what about people that like are in cities that they don't spend time with their they
Oh yeah.
see.
Well, that's more common. Like if you think
Yeah.
of, I think of my parents' friends. Majority of their kids don't live here.
No,
Like most
they
of my
don't.
friends that I grew up with, I've got a handful that live here, but the rest live out of town, and their families are. So you got to travel, or sometimes the grandparents move, but it's rare to be 30 minutes away, even much less 2 minutes.
That's what I said. So I was like, I think you're being
You
a
should feel
tad
lucky.
over dramatic.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're Mexican, so we're a little bit dramatic.
Yeah, I know. My wife is too.
Yeah. So you know how that goes.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for anyone? Would you expect them to contact you, or who do they contact when they're looking at getting into the construction game, like getting into the real estate, not residential but commercial?
Yeah, no, they can contact me. All my contact information's on our the RJL. I think it's just rjlrealestate.com. So my contact information's on there. So no, anyone can contact. I think my cell phone and email are on there. Anyone can contact me directly.
Have you been involved in the whole downtown process?
You know, I have not done really anything. I've stayed at the new plaza.
Okay.
That's
Which
my
I haven't
that's
even
my
been.
contribution. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I haven't been yet.
I have not done anything with real estate in downtown. Our office is down there, and I love it. I mean, it's growing up here downtown. The only thing I knew was we'd go park in Mama's parking lot and walk over to the Strip and go to the bars. But aside from that, I mean, and at the time, downtown was, I think, kind of half dead. But
Yeah.
So it's fun having the office down there. You know, walking to lunch. I mean, it's vibrant.
Yeah.
The Plaza Hotel is, it's incredible. Elizabeth and I stayed there for 2 nights like a month ago, and it was really, really nice.
She was like, you have to go. You
Oh,
guys would love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, the restaurant's good. The hotel's awesome. It's right by Cafe Central, so we went there twice in 2 days, and
That's awesome.
yeah, so we're going again. Our 5-year wedding anniversary is September 5th, so
5 years. That's crazy.
we'll be staying there again. Yeah,
That is crazy.
it's flown by.
I mean, because I just remember when you guys had gotten married and stuff. We were at your wedding.
Yeah,
And it's just crazy how fast time goes by so
It does.
quickly.
yeah, and then we have a 4-year-old.
I know. It's just nuts. It's nuts.
Good gray hair to show it.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure
Cheers,
to be here.
Peter.
Cheers.